masters that you saw in Revenge of the Sith dying during Order 66, you see them in their locations where they're about to be massacred. And you're sitting there going, good Lord, it's incredible. I mean, just they're setting you up. I mean, if Revenge of the Sith wasn't an emotional impact enough, this is setting you up for something huge.
Well, and it's mind-blowing to me. Like, I remember seeing, Revenge of the Sith in 2005. You're talking 15 years ago at the theater. And I remember, seeing the end of the movie and just being like, oh, what a gut punch. And Order 66 and Cody taking the pot shot up at Obi-Wan, and oh my gosh, and now 15 later getting these different angles, seeing Aayla Secura on Felucia, right? Seeing Plo Koon, right? I guess, was he on Cato Nemoidia or was he on, oh gosh, I'm gonna mess it up. I think Ki-Adi-Mundi was on Cato Nemoidia. I'd have to look, but again, like you said, you see him spread out. I think of the Emperor, I think of Palpatine, I think of Divide and Conquer, and so just like you said, the opening, newsreel by Tom Kane, absolutely
very good.
Yes, is setting up the Revenge of the Sith, and to get those different angles was just beautiful. So yes, clearly the overlap, and we know where we are on the timeline. We knew that anyways, but this really lets us know, and that was beautiful. Seeing those clips, like you said,
it really was. It was probably one of my. I can't say it's one of my favorite things. It's one of my many favorite things about this episode. So yeah. So from there, it goes to the planet of Yerbana, where you see Cody and his troops battling a separatist, and it's not going well for them. General Kenobi arrives, ends up saving Commander Cody. I almost said Captain Rex, but that's not the case. Saves Cody, and they wind up getting pinned down, and the separatists are just pressing their advance. I mean, they're outnumbered, they're being outplayed, and then of course Anakin shows up, and Obi-Wan and Cody and his troops are kind of hiding behind debris, taking cover, and Anakin's just standing up straight and tall, like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, what you doing down there?
Yeah.
And that's when Obi-Wan or Anakin's like, I got a plan, just go with it. Don't worry about it. We got a plan. Let's go. And we see something I absolutely love. You see Anakin just walk out and face all these hundreds of battle droids and battle tanks and everything, the artillery, and Anakin's like, hey, don't fire. I surrender. You outgun us. You've outplayed us. Yep, we surrender. And all they're trying to do is lure out the tactical droid who's in command, because they take him out, they know the rest of the droids just kind of collapse. And they call it tactical droid, and tactical droid's like, looks at the other droids like, are you stupid? This is a trap. It's a trap. And next thing you know, you see Anakin just use the Force, yank the tactical droid toward him and slice him in half. And of course, Rex and all the 501st come flying out with jetpacks from underneath the bridge and begin attacking the droids, which was great. Then we have Obi-Wan looking at Rex or Cody and going, yes, you can go play too. And Cody and his troops go in and join the fight. And we get this great banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin at this point. And I love it because you have them talking back and forth. And I love how even Anakin's like, well, your sense of helplessness did help sell my surrender. I mean, it's just that little back and forth right there was perfect. And that scene reminded me how much of an impact this series had on my view of Obi-Wan and Anakin. You know, before this series came out, all we had was the prequels. I mean, we had the prequels. We had Tartakovsky,
Yeah,
yeah,
Andy
yeah,
Tartakovsky.
Tartakovsky's Clone War, but it didn't flesh out characters. But so I get to the end of Revenge of the Sith. I hear Anakin or Obi-Wan's passionate speech. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. And that whole speech, which is a very passionate and very, very eloquent speech. And it didn't do, okay, cool. Yeah, I understand. But after watching this and seeing their relationship fleshed out and seeing what they've gone through, seeing them being brothers, I can't watch that scene now without tearing up. And this scene reminded me of that. To me, it was so needed. Because it sets, like I said, it's setting you up for Revenge of the Sith. And that scene reminded. What did you think of the opening battle, David? Let's just keep
Oh,
going. What?
well, yeah, no, I mean, one of the first things I thought when you don't see the very tops of that bridge is I'm like, this looks like the Golden Gate Bridge, you know, and of course all the Star Wars stuff up there in Marin County. I thought it was kind of like an homage to the Golden Gate Bridge, um, but no, I didn't. Uh, I honestly, I mean, I love it. I love the banter. You know, I love, you know, as friends when you needle each other, we call it giving each other the business, or giving them a rib shot and stuff. You know, when Anakin is teasing Obi-Wan, I love it, and I give credit to, again, going back to Dan Brooks. When he pointed in his what is it, a Clone Wars Declassified article on this episode, the very first thing he listed, and people can read it, is, he really reminded me of something like you did there, which is you hearken back to episode 3, and I can visualize that in my mind, and then Dan Brooks went back to episode 4, where you see Obi-Wan talking to Luke in Obi-Wan's home there, little homestead, and he says, he was a cunning warrior, Anakin Skywalker, and he was a good friend, and that I'm glad he said that. So, like, you mentioning what you did and Dan Brooks mentioning that, I'm like, yeah, this really pulls this together as one, fluid story, and so yeah. Incredible start to this incredible episode. I don't know. I'm gushing. I'm unabashedly gushing, but it's all justified.
Oh yeah, no, it's very well justified. I loved this episode, and the it all played out perfectly, and the episode continues from there. We see them getting a call from Admiral Yularen telling them they need to return to the ship because they're getting a message from Fulcrum that they need to take aboard the ship. Of course, if you're not familiar with the name Fulcrum, that means you have not watched Star Wars Rebels. And if you have not watched Star Wars Rebels, I'm very disappointed in you.
Me too.
So you need to go watch Star Wars Rebels, because it's phenomenal. But Fulcrum is the name. I'm just messing with you. I love y'all. No matter, even if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, I still love y'all. But before I start getting emails there, Fulcrum is the code name used by Rebel spies. Ahsoka used it in Rebels.
Saw
Gerrera used it. A whole bunch of people have used it. Cassian Andor used it. So it's an established quote unquote code name for Rebel spies, Rebel contacts. So they thought when they heard that he was calling, they're like, oh, it must be Saul. And of course, it's not Saul. And I love that scene. And this was part of the preview when they announced it at Comic-Con a couple years ago. Obi-Wan and Anakin come walking in, and there's Ahsoka. And just the pure, I mean, the way they animated this was perfect, because that look of complete and total shock on Anakin's face is priceless.
Yeah.
It's like he had seen a ghost.
Well, and that's where these new character models and the improved animation bring so much more emotion. You know?
Oh no, they definitely do. They
Yeah.
definitely do, and we've seen that, especially this season so far. Because I mean, literally, his mouth is just gaping open, like, and his eyes have almost double in size as Ahsoka, that holographic Ahsoka, turns around with Bo Katan next to her, and she's like, "Hello, Master. It's been a while." And you see Obi-Wan look at Anakin, and then Anakin just starts stumbling over his words. Ahsoka, whoa, I don't believe it. What's going on? How you doing? He's
Yeah,
at a
I mean,
loss of
there's a
words.
lot of side looks. There's a lot of side looks in this.
There
Obi-Wan
are.
to Anakin. Anakin does look at Obi-Wan. There is a lot of side looks in this. Even Yularen looks at both Obi-Wan and Anakin to try to process and figure out what they're feeling and thinking.
Exactly. And it's very, very great how they did that. It was very well animated, because you felt the emotion all around that room with Ahsoka standing there. And you get, I just want to keep jumping ahead, but I don't want to, because there's so much in this episode. I feel we need to actually flush out the entire episode, not just jump here and there like we normally do.
Yeah.
But there is so much emotion being shown in this scene and in this, and even more so when we get to the next scene, when Bo-Katan and Ahsoka arrive in the Gauntlet on board the Republic cruiser, and they're met by Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka comes off the ship with Bo-Katan, and Anakin's like ready to chit chat, and Ahsoka's like, "Yeah, no, we ain't got time for that now." And she just shuts him down.
Yeah.
I mean, it tells you right there the type of growth that basically it's a display of growth that she's had since she's left her master. And I love that they did that. But at the same point, we still get that touching moment when she gets at the bottom of the ramp and R2 is rolled up to meet her. And he's chirping all happy, and she just rests her hand on his little domed head. The emotion, oh my gosh, the emotions in this episode are just beyond crazy.
That's one of many feels moments.
Oh no, absolutely. And and the scene continues. They wind up going to the conference room. They discuss what Bo-Katan and Ahsoka want, and they need the Republic help because her forces don't have what it takes to take down Maul and Almec and everybody that's there ruling Mandalore right now. And of course, Obi-Wan starts stepping up. He's like, we can't do that. If the Republic commits forces, we're committing an act of war, because that treaty's long. We've had this long-standing treaty. And then, this is one of the parts that hit me the hardest, because this was basically Bo-Katan taking a knife and shoving it in Anakin's back, then dumping salt in the wound, because she gets furious that they're not wanting to help, and basically looks at Obi-Wan and says, "I thought you cared for my sister."
Mm-hmm.
Of course, her sister, is the Duchess Satine. She died in Obi-Wan's arms. And it was, oh my gosh. That has always been probably, I got a picture. If you've seen my desk in any of either my personal feed or my Instagram feed, wherever, above my desk.